Here you've got the Rafale and the Super Hornet, separated quite symbolically by the light combat aircraft itself, which is not in play as far as this contract is concerned. But the very fact that both these aircraft are here at Aero India is a demonstration of the huge interest that the biggest weapons and aircraft makers in the world have in the Indian market. Will the Indian Navy get a decision sometime soon? Who knows? Will it be the Rafale? Will it be the F-18? We'll have to wait and see. If you're coming to the Aero India show in Bengaluru, please make sure you get a chance to get up close with this absolutely terrific beast behind me. In case you haven't already recognized it, and I'm sure most of our viewers already have, that's the AH-64E Apache. It's an Indian Air Force Apache helicopter. It's from one of the two squadrons that are currently operated by the Indian Air Force in the north and the east. Now, the helicopter that they've brought here, if you notice up there on its head, that's called the longbow radar. The hat that you see above the rotors is what makes this helicopter absolutely lethal. The Apache is one of the most war-proven helicopters. It has had an enormous amount of experience, across battlefields in Afghanistan, Iraq, several other places as well. And the specimen that they've brought here to Aero India, as you can see, is armed to the teeth. It's got Hellfire missiles. It's got one of its rocket pods. It's got some other anti-armor weapon systems as well. And these are helicopters that, as soon as they arrived in India, they were almost immediately put into operational service. Some of them were based in Chandigarh and Pathankot. They were sent out to Ladakh. They were operating from Ladakh during the Indian standoff with China, which continues even now. Many of these helicopters continue to operate in Ladakh. So they've had actual frontline experience with the Indian Air Force as soon as they started arriving. Now, 22 of these helicopters are in service currently with the Indian Air Force. The Indian Army is going to get 6 of these helicopters. They're going to look very, very different from these. These have that beautiful, Tipnis grey color, as it's called. But the Indian Army's Apaches will wear a sandy texture to mimic a desert kind of camouflage. Those helicopters will come online from next year. Another interesting facet about the Apache, for those who are wondering about expensive imports that India has to continue to incur year after year, much of the Apache's body, the fuselage, actually happens to be built right here in India. A large part of the Apache fuselage that you see here, the main body, is built in Hyderabad by a joint venture of Boeing and the Tata Group. And not just for the Indian Army or the Indian Air Force, but for global customers of the Apache. It's an expensive helicopter, but it's also a highly capable one. But there are benefits for India in this helicopter being bought by more customers because they are being built just outside Hyderabad, providing thousands of jobs to airframers and skilled workforce in that particular area. So one of the big success stories for outsourcing and made in India has in fact been this iconic, legendary American helicopter, a large part of its body of which is built right here in India. I bet many of you didn't actually know that. So 22 of these for the Indian Air Force. The Indian Air Force actually wants many more of them. 6 for the Army. Who knows how many more. A total requirement of about 60 helicopters is what one understands the real requirement by the Indian Air Force is. The big AH-64E Apache. One of the biggest moments in recent memory for the Indian Air Force, for Indian aviation, obviously has been the Balakot airstrikes. And that's one of the reasons why the Indian Air Force is always proud to bring and flaunt its beloved Mirage 2000 here at Aero India every single time, no matter what. It happened in 2021 and the aircraft is back. But there's something special about this aircraft that nobody else is going to tell you. What if I told you, viewer, that this was one of the Mirages that actually took part in the Balakot operation? You heard me right. This is one of the Mirages, we can confirm, that participated in the Balakot operations. Take a look very closely at the belly of the aircraft. The bomb you see slung down there is a Spice 2000 bomb of the very kind that was used to bomb the Jaish-e-Mohammed safe house outside Balakot town in Pakistan. You can see certain other armaments, you can see some drop tanks as well, but the main weapon of this aircraft used in that operation was the Spice 2000. It's an Israeli 2,000-pound guided weapon that was fired from airspace above Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. It travelled all the way in bad weather into Pakistan and smashed down into that safe house, and a large number of terrorists were killed in that operation. Now, there is a lot of soft messaging in seeing an aircraft like this standing here in broad daylight, totally in the open, looking, rather innocent, but obviously really deadly, because this is an aircraft that actually caused a lot of harm to India's enemies. The Balakot airstrikes have already gone down in history, but the fact that a Mirage 2000 with the same kind of weapon system and the same aircraft that participated was part of that pack of Mirage fighters that dared to cross the line of control, go into Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and unleash those weapons into Balakot shows that India continues to send out that strong message. If we are harmed, this is what's coming after you.